Good morning or good part of the day to you. I'm going to do a SimCity Timelapse today. I thought this might be some fun. I had some time to build a city, but did not have time to do live commentary. So I'm time-lapsing it now. I think this is 8 times speed, and you'll join me for this journey. You sort of get my thoughts on the city after the fact, but watch the build while it's being built. So we're in the Desolation region right now. It's a flat brown, well, it's not totally flat, but this is a flat map. And my goal here was to experiment with some of the lessons that I've been learning doing the SimCity Complete Region series that I've been doing. I've learned some good stuff about the game and remembered some things that I'd learned in years previous about the game, and I'm trying them out in this city. What I'm doing at this point is just setting up a beginner area just to get some money flowing, right? This is just a spot for some commercial and some residential to get going. And I also did, so I placed my water down there and now some wind power. And I placed an avenue up at the top of the map that I think is permanent. I will be using that as the border of the map, but everything else here is just going to kind of grow and generate some revenue for us here. So as I said, I was trying to make a city using some of the lessons that I've learned and experiment with a couple of different things. I wanted to try out processor factories and see what I could do with those. I am able, spoiler alert, later in the video, I was able to fully upgrade the electronics headquarters and the trade headquarters with nothing but importing plastic and alloy and exporting processors that I manufactured with processor factories. Now, water is a bit of a problem in this map. There you see me up the taxes to 12. The Sims will stay happy, but still give me taxes that way. And here's some beginner industrial too. That's probably not going to stick around, that method of the roads. Okay, we've got our beginner stuff now. We've got our power, we've got our water, and we've got our sewage outflow. But that's actually a sewage treatment plant. We already got rid of the sewage outflow because I was able to add the utilities module to the town hall. Boy, things sure move fast in SimCity when you play 8 times speed, don't they? So now it's time to get rid of this horizontal road and replace it with an avenue. That's going to be permanent. That's my plan. And I stretch an avenue down on the border here, and then I'm looking at, do I want to put one high-density building between a road and the avenue, or do I want to build a road kind of close to the avenue and build off of that? And I ended up going with this strategy, although I think in hindsight it may have been a mistake. I'd like to try it the other way now. Now I'm measuring $440 with the dirt road because that will fit 2 high-density buildings back to back. And so these horizontal roads are going to become permanent, horizontal per the view that you are currently enjoying. And we're getting some weird zoning glitches here where when you draw new roads, they zone themselves depending on what you've already zoned and where. So that's a bit annoying, but we deal with it just fine. So you can see these horizontal roads are here to stay, and these I'm going to cut the distance between those 2 vertical avenues into equal spaces and put those down. Here you can see the grade school. This is, by the way, the first city and the only city in the region, mostly the only city in the region. You'll see the other one as well. It's the first city right now. My goal was to build it from scratch to see if I could do it. Let's get rid of some of this extra industrial. And the biggest problem, I think, with this map was the lack of water. So I do end up making another city just to create water to sell to this city. So you'll see that later on. Whew, it's early in the morning. I'm sipping some coffee. Okay, what am I measuring here? Oh, I'm measuring the distance between the avenues that I want. So that avenue is halfway between the 2, and then those other 2 avenues, the longer ones, that aren't long, are half the distance between halfway and the ends. So you can sort of see the city beginning to take shape here. The avenues are my cross sections, and the dirt roads that are perpendicular to the avenues will be where I zone. So that whole top area is going to go away eventually. And here you can see me just sort of struggling to make all the connections I need to make everything go the way it should go, but we figure it out. We get it done. Adding some more power, that wind power is not going to be permanent. I was thinking I might try going nuclear with this one too, but with the low amount of water and some other factors, I end up deciding against it. We'll kind of see how that plays out as we go through here. Okay, so now we're placing a community college just as soon as we get enough students at the elementary school to do so. And when we do, we will bulldoze the elementary school and all of the bus stops. So see you later, bus stops. Community colleges are the way to go now until we upgrade to the university. The community college will keep the Sims educated, so they don't need as much. They don't get sick or injured as often. They don't set as many fires. They don't commit as many crimes. And they even use less electricity and water, which is fantastic. Fewer units of electricity and fewer units of water, if you will. So now you see me drawing this sort of middle commercial and outside residential pattern that I'm experimenting more with on these horizontal dirt roads. Those are permanent. And of course, as soon as I say that, I delete them. What I did here, I think, is I cranked the taxes up to 20% to try to bankroll a little bit, knowing that I would only bother the Sims at the top of the screen, who are all going to get their houses demolished anyway, pretty soon here, I think. So you can see that the happiness is growing among my new zoned areas here. And boy, this method of zoning is a little tedious, but it's not too bad on 8 times speed. I appreciate that. I should play all games at 8 times speed. Don't get used to this, by the way. I don't often have... This is about 3 hours of footage squished down to 20 minutes. So I don't often have this kind of time to just play. But when I do, I like to take advantage of it. Let's see, what am I building here? I'm building a trade depot to import plastic and alloy and export processors. And there's my first processor factory. So I think I'm kind of getting that going as another method of bankrolling. A lot of that industrial is going to go away later too, by the way. I'm kind of thinking of the downwind part of the map as being processor factories and industrial. And my hope was to make it half of that section of the map would be processors and half would be industrial. But we'll see how it goes. You will see. And you may also notice I'm putting all the utilities upwind of the residential as well to kind of keep them out of the way so they don't impact traffic. Okay, here's our other city. This is when I concluded that I wanted to slant a road here and squeeze in a water pump. And I do this without loaning any money to the city, I think, which is pretty remarkable. Zoning is free. I crank up the taxes. I don't build a power plant, so I have to pop back over to the other city and create more power in order to have plenty to sell to the first city. But it's a worthwhile investment because then I can buy water from the city, and you don't actually use up resources when you're buying them from the region. They're just sort of, if the capacity is there that moment, then the capacity is there forever. So building a little more zoning to make sure I have some money and some people to work at the water pumping station, I think is a good idea. And then using bonds to build a couple extra pumps gives us the capacity that we need for now to sell to this city. And I don't think I ever go back to that water city and expand the capacity. Okay, so the dump needs an incinerator. That's a good sign. And here we see our trade map. Yellow and brown are plastic and alloy. I think yellow is plastic and brown is alloy, and pink is processors. So you can see that we're importing the brown and yellow and shipping it off to the factory. And then the factory is producing pink slowly over time and shipping it off to the depot. Here I expand my capacity a bit by making one depot import only and the other depot export only. So one is importing half plastic and alloy, and the other one is exporting pure processors. So now I'm just sort of experimenting with fitting a fully upgraded processor factory on a road and seeing how much space it takes up, and where should I put the road opposite it, and can I fit two next to each other here in this part of the map. What am I doing? Oh, I must be... Okay, so I'm redoing my depot thing here. I must have exported the plastic and alloy, and now I've built an oil power plant. It's time for the wind power plant to go away. I put the upgraded smokestack on the oil power plant, and now I'm realizing I cannot fit that processor factory in the same way that I did the other one without going off the edge of the map. I wanted to put 3 of the modules on one side and I couldn't. So here I'm drawing a dirt road and another dirt road to measure the distance I'm going to need in order to be able to fit more processor factories on the other side. It's a bit of an experiment. And, well, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how well it fits. So here's our trade depot replacement. I don't remember if I had that as import and export or just one or the other. We'll see. But bye-bye industrial and hello zoning. So there's our 440. We can fit industrial back to back there. And here I opted with spacing the first dirt road from the horizontal avenue 1 tall tree row park away. So that I think is a better decision than the one I made up top with the residential and the commercial. But, you know, I wasn't going for perfect. I was going for mostly optimized, more optimized than I normally do. And let's see how it goes. There, I think I upgraded the density of a few roads to medium. So we'll see if we get a population boost here. We're stuck at about 20,000 right now with low density everywhere. But we should be getting some upgrades soon. And I think the goal of that actually was to get things to a place where I could put, I could delete that first area. Okay, here we have these little road nubs left over that weren't allowing me to extend these roads. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, I gotta make sure that I'm thinking about that and taking care of those kinds of things. A little extra zoning on the far side of that last avenue there. Some more trucks, another incinerator. We're preparing to upgrade. And there, I do see some medium density residential and commercial going in. It's time for another community college. Where I'm going to put this, I think I ended up plopping down a park to see if it would fit, if I could fit it there and still have room for a high density row there. And I do. Do I get rid of these here? I do. Okay, so goodbye beginning area. Thank you very much. Goodbye small fire station. Goodbye small clinic. Say hello to tier 2 utilities. I'm going to try to make this road about as even from the other side as I can, and then we'll see what fits here. I end up with kind of too small of a space on the far side of that last road. So, yeah, I lose a row of high-density buildings, I think, with the way that I did things. That top avenue is non-negotiable. I wanted it the distance from the edge of the map that I got it. So now here I'm trying to put in place a water solution that this city can count on, so I don't need to buy from the other city. And I'm experimenting with how to do that because there's such a small water table on this. And here, can we get this road as close to it as we can there? And then I can put the water guy here, and I think I can fit pumps past that. So I'm pretty happy with that. There goes the hospital. There goes the police station. And let's measure this distance, go halfway. And then right at that halfway marker, first I got to get rid of that little stubborn nub, goes the tier 2 fire station. So now we're all set with tier 2 utilities. We've got the hospital, the police, and the fire. And it's time for more processor factories. And here I stumble upon the system that I like, where I put the modules on like that. There's a lot of wasted space between those processor factories, but between the end of the time lapse and the actual conclusion of the video, which comes in real time, you will see that I fit them in a little more efficiently, a little more tightly than that. So now we can turn our original residential and commercial area into something that's oriented the same way as the rest of the city, with these horizontal roads and the commercial in the middle. I do think that we ended up with a little bit too much commercial, because at the end of the video, commercial zones, the buildings were going abandoned. They weren't getting enough stock, and so there ended up not being enough industrial either. I could have set the commercial tax lower, I think, in order to keep them happy enough to not abandon and keep trying to squeeze in more residents. My goal was to see, can I max out an electronics headquarters and a trade headquarters? Can I get 600,000 Sims in a city to fully upgrade town hall? Can I do it with the first city in the region, other than my little water cheat? And can I upgrade the power plant to nuclear power? with a fully upgraded and fully researched university. It was a pretty ambitious goal. That was my pie in the sky goal. I did not think I would accomplish it all. I'm happy with what I accomplished and with what I learned. And do I think that my goals are all possible in the game? Probably. Do I think I want to play the game so efficiently that I could do that? Probably not. I think the game at that point would cease to be as much fun, and it would start to be kind of a pain in the butt. Okay, here we are updating the roads in the industrial section, hoping to get some more jobs there with medium density factories that can, well, they provide a lot more jobs than the low density factories do. And they fill the space a bit more effectively well. You can see there's a lot of gap between the buildings when they're all low density, but once they get up to medium, that gap is pretty much gone, and then high they grow upward toward the sky and hold a lot more sims and jobs and things like that. Whew, this coffee is good. I almost went with 16 times speed for this video, but I'm glad I didn't because I was worried I wouldn't have enough to say, and instead I'm having trouble keeping up. Okay, I'm drawing a dirt road here. I think I'm going to export everything from this trade depot and move it over because I don't like the wasted space. Yeah, so I'm setting everything to export here. The alloy's gone. I measure, and then I try to squeeze in 4 modules here, but they don't quite fit, so I back it up just a little bit and give that a try. And there they all fit. So it's not perfect, but it's better. And now I can expand the oil power plant if I need to. It does expand off to the left, which means I built it too close to the edge of the map. So that one's going to be my replacement. And I'm going to turn off global deliveries on the original one so it runs out of oil. I ended up doing this a couple of times with the power plants and exporting from the trade depots that are meant to import a couple of times just to empty them out and then demolish them and then make things happen. So that I could move them to a better spot. Okay, so there's the Department of, is that finance or I think that's education. So now I'm just waiting for enough students to attend my community colleges that I can build a university. The university takes up a lot of, okay, there's 4 wellness vans. That's maxed out. So that should help with germs in the city. A maxed out university takes up a lot of space. So, that hurts your ability to have a good, an optimized city with so much space taken up. But, it is what it is. I think doing trade and electronics and university all in the same city is going to make it tough to get to 600,000 sims. And that's one of the main takeaways that I got from this experiment. So here we are adding more trucks to the garbage facility so we can keep picking it all up. I also do end up building a recycling plant too, and that takes up a lot of space. So really the population that I ended up with was pretty good, and I think I could have pushed it maybe another 50,000 from where it ended up to. Where are we at now in the video? We're approaching 100,000 sims. So just some expansions on the hospital here. And let's see, what do I build first? Oh yeah, and I put 3 dorms here right away. That's pretty satisfying. The school there is going to research something. I don't remember it. It might be the detective wing for the school, which I think is the School of Law. Also, it's a nice looking school. So I wasn't sure I was going to add all the schools or not, and I didn't want to, I just wanted it to be beautiful too, and that's one of the prettier schools. The schools of engineering and science and stuff are not as pretty buildings, but law and medicine are both quite nice looking. And I think I may never actually build the School of Medicine, I'm not sure. Okay, you can see me upgrading roads here. I'm adding streetcars. That's my goal with this exercise. The map where you see the skinny blue lines, that's the streetcar line. Now, the distance of the avenue at the top of the map between that and the edge of the map right here is enough to expand out the back, and that's very much on purpose. So you can't put it where the guide says to put the avenue and still fit your sewage treatment plant with all the modules. You can't still fit your services and expand on the back. You can fit them, but you can't expand them toward the back. So that's the reason why that is the way it is. Oh, look, here I'm adding some trees because pollution is beginning to take a toll. I'm keeping an eye on the trash. I'm keeping an eye on the university. Here we had a school of what? Engineering? That must be to upgrade the oil power plant so that I get the least polluty smokestack, even though it shouldn't matter. This is the only city really in the region that matters. Where are we at? We're at 130,000 sims now. We can see some upgrades happening. There's some tech occurring to the industry. So that's a good thing. What school do we add next? Science? Business. Yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. You got to watch your land values too there. That'll add high wealth value to the land, which is quite risky. Here I'm figuring out I need extra delivery trucks on the depot so that once we get our resources, they can get them out to the processor factories in a timely manner. And so that's important as well. What do I add to the police? Oh, I want to add the detective wing, but I can't yet because the research is not complete. That's what I was thinking there, I remember. The city's coming along nicely. I'm checking density there to see if anyone's ready to go to high density or not. We're ready to try and make that push, and here's our first high density residential building. It's kind of fun to watch that go up, and what's it hold? About 5,000 sims, I think. Now here we see the water table growing, which is really encouraging. So at that point, I start building this out and see what I can fit for pumps. I think I only end up ever putting 5 there instead of maxing it out with 6. So certainly there are optimizations to be had. Things could be a little more efficient. But, this was an experiment designed to see how far I could push myself in a reasonable amount of time and a reasonable amount of optimization, and to learn some things too. Right? I think I made some mistakes that I correct, and I think I made some mistakes that I took a mental note of that I didn't correct in this city, but hopefully won't repeat those mistakes when I do go for an electronics or trade specialization in a future city in the series. Oh, if anyone's wondering, by the way, 20 minutes into this video, where the usual Minecraft series is, I have plans to bring that back. I've been trading with piglins in the nether and getting ender pearls so that we can travel to the end. I don't know if that'll be the next episode or not. Okay, here we've got the School of Science. Or not. I guess I hold off on that for now. We've got some high density going. That's an encouraging thing. We've got some abandoned industrial buildings going, even though the city is a little bit starved for jobs. So, I'm sort of wrestling with some of these balancing things right now. While the city grows. Where are we at? 140,000 sims. There's a lot of wasted space with those processor factories right now, so I'm going to have to bite the bullet and export the plastic and the alloy, which I'm doing now, and then once those processor factories are empty, I'm going to be bulldozing those and building them the way that I now know I like to build them. Oh, that's the end. Okay, let's fade to black and conclude this video. Alrighty guys, I seem to have about hit the ceiling for this city and my skill level at 450,000 people. Some changes, lots of high density everywhere, less industrial than there was before. Let's look at the zone map real quick and we'll go to an overhead. So it's just a little bit of industrial down here. We've got 8 processor factories going, and with these full of alloy and plastic, I could probably reduce the number of lots there actually. So maybe if each of these was just, like maybe if this was half and half, then I could bump this over and zone a bit more here. I was thinking I could put nuclear power plant back here and then use some of this space. This space here seems to be lost. I had a fully decked out trade HQ here because I thought I would need the big lots for the recycling plant, but I ended up not. And look at these little low density guys here. Even though it says I can put a tree row here, they don't seem to want to upgrade. I guess I could actually check the density map to see if they're ready. Oh, they're not quite. Maybe they will actually, and then I'll get some more population. We've got the second sewage treatment plant, a second water pumping station. I think all 3 of those pumps are going here, and we have 4 of 3 pumps going here. The water situation seems to have stabilized. You see there's a lot of water underneath the city now, where there wasn't before. So power's fine with 2 decked out oil power plants in the researched dealy deal. Water is hanging on. Sewage is plentiful. We're picking up 14,500 bins of recycling a day and 1,700 trash cans a day. That's in the green. That's yellow. It's probably okay. The actual dump has got 13 tons in it. I've been going back and forth between 1 and 2 incinerators, and the town wants about 1.5. No fires burned down, 5 deaths per day. I added some ambulances to this, but yeah, even with the 4 wellness vans, we're struggling to keep up. The waiting room is not full. The capacity is not full. I'm thinking traffic has become a problem. Crimes are in good shape. Education is fine. We're at 10,700 students enrolled out of 11,200. But of course, we've got, people complaining of low skill employees. The university itself is fully upgraded. And I didn't cheese that. I only built one university. And we're researching the fast neutron reactor. So I suppose I could stick a power plant here, a nuclear. I could wait for these guys to grow up. I could even reduce the footprint of the university maybe. And like I talked about with these storage things, I could bump these over, combine this import to be half and half alloy and plastic, put the processor plant here, and then I could zone here. Maybe some more industrial, because we do have some unemployment and we do have some unfulfilled freight orders, or no? Yeah, lots of unfulfilled freight orders. So we do need some more industrial. So my quest to get to 500,000 has failed, or possibly even 600,000 to fully upgrade the city hall in a single city. Yeah, I had the fully upgraded electronics HQ too, but I ended up getting rid of one of the extra buildings because it was taking up space, and I put some residential there. So I could squeeze this up to 500,000 maybe. I lost some space here. This row is not wide enough. I made this wide enough to accommodate the streetcars, and now this isn't wide enough to accommodate 2 rows of high density there. What can you do? I mean, I guess I could scoot this over, because I've got this wasted space of triple streets here. So lessons learned. It was fun though. It was a fun experiment to run a long single day sort of SimCity city to see what I could do. And I hope you enjoyed the time lapse. Back to the regular series next episode of SimCity. We'll be back into our complete region and making that happen. So thanks for watching, and have a good day in the basement.
We wanted to just take a quick second and say thank you to all of our patrons and members and subscribers over on Twitch. You guys are really making a big difference, because while the basement is a place that we just want to be able to have fun and make great content, more importantly, it's about helping people have a sense of connection and a safe, awesome, friendly place to go when they're hanging out on the internet. Your commitments make it possible for us to expand the reach of the basement through all the different channels and all the different content that we're making. Thank you for helping the basement be the friendliest place in the universe. In the basement.